Okay, so I got this comment from Paul D. Thank you, Paul, for your comment. Thank you for this comment that you made here. All right, so the comment goes like this. This was a good one, you guys. You do not, hold on, let me do this justice. You do not want a prong collar to move up and down. You want it to stay right behind the ears where it will not slide down and block their airway when they try to get at whatever it is they are after. You should do some actual research on this, especially if you're doing dog training. Every single dog trainer I have ever been to says the same thing on this. You also don't want your fingers to be able to do what you're doing with them under the collar. You need to take another link off that collar, my friend. So that's what he basically says. Now, if a prong training collar cannot move on a dog's neck, that means I have a prong training collar right here, you guys. What does that mean? That means that it is so tight, it is tight against the dog, and these prongs are always kind of pointing into the skin. It's so tight that it cannot move. That's what it says, right? It says it cannot move and it stays right behind the ear. So the dog's head is in there and it is that tight and it's right behind the ears. You should do some actual research on this, he goes on to say, right? I'm not gonna say anything about research that I may or may not have done or dogs that I may or may not have trained. Actually, you know what? I agree. I should continue to do research and I should, especially if I'm training dogs. If you're training dogs, you need to know your tools. I know my tool very well. Anyway, you also don't want your fingers to be able to do what they're doing underneath the collar. That's your opinion, sir, and you're allowed to have your opinion. My opinion is that the collar should not be so tight that the prongs are always jamming into the dog's neck and it's always like it's all the way so I can't get any fingers underneath it. That's my opinion on it. Your opinion is that it should be. Now, there's a couple things with this. These tools are used for many different reasons. And really, to tell you the truth, as you're training with the tool, your purpose for the tool is the purpose that the tool has when you are training. There's many dog trainers who do things differently, especially in the sports training world, that believe that the collar needs to be in a particular spot, and that's because they're doing a particular sport. I am a pet dog trainer, which is a different thing. And my goal with this collar or any tool is to teach the dog that there's a difference between loose and tight. That's my goal. So I want to teach the dog that there's a difference between this being comfortable and then when they feel tension, when they feel that tighten up, that there's a difference there. So really, to tell you the truth, if the collar moves or doesn't move, it doesn't matter. To me, if the collar is already so tight that that dog is feeling all of these points in their neck, it's less of a distinction between tight and loose, right? If it's so tight that all these things are going on, it's less of a distinction between when I'm pulling and when I'm letting go. I want there to be a big distinction between when it engages and when it lets go. Right? And that's why that's how come I set the tool the way I need to. My goal is not to use this tool all the time anyway. My goal is to teach the dog the difference between that tension and that release, so that way I could use a buckle collar, right? I could use a martingale collar. I could use the slip lead. I could use whatever, and the dog understands that. I also don't need it to be right up behind the dog's ear to teach them that tension on means, one thing, and that there's a possibility that tension could come off the leash. I don't need that to be in one spot to teach that idea, right? There's another thing here. When you train a dog, my goal is not to have the dog dart after things. I don't know what Paul's goal is, but my goal is to build a relationship so the dog sees the thing and is like, yeah, I'm on the leash. I'm not supposed to dart after it. Paul's goal seems to be to put it really tight on the dog's neck in the one way that he thinks that you could use the tool and to allow the dog to continually dart after things. That's what I gotta say on that. Stay open-minded. When you have an idea, a thing fixed in your mind, you can't see other perspectives because all you can see is just like, that is wrong. You know, by being open-minded, you might be able to see that wrong and right, you know, in a lot of cases, there's no fixed, it's not objective, it's subjective, and it depends on what you're trying to do. I love these kind of conversations. Paul is getting to some of the argument that I have with other people too, you know, so he just happened to show up here where we could talk about Paul and his ideas. But Paul, definitely write back. Tell me how many dog trainers you went to. Tell me their names. Tell me as much about it as you can. Maybe I could get some of them on this channel, and maybe some of them might just be saying some of the same things that I'm saying. It's just that you didn't hear it because you had your own idea on things and you're just confirming your own biases. Maybe that's a possibility. Right back, Paul. Let's talk. Till next time, enjoy your day, enjoy your dog.